The U.S. economy unexpectedly going negative last quarter, contracting for the first time in 3.5 years. The markets shrugging it off. What's Peter Schiff doing about it? He is president of Euro Pacific Capital. Peter, good to see you. You know what? The 10-year Treasury yield is above 2%. The market's barely selling off. Investors seem to be saying this is fleeting. We shouldn't worry. What say you?
Well, they need to worry. You know, it's interesting that the last quarter of the Obama term is the weakest of his presidency. You have to go back to the first quarter of his of the first year he was in office. But it shows me that the temporary euphoria of the stimulus is wearing off. The hangover is setting in. And as bad as things were during the Obama recovery, wait till you see how bad it's going to get during the Obama recession. And I think the Fed is, of course, getting ready to up the dosage of the stimulus. A lot of people were thinking that the Fed was going to take away the money or stop the stimulus. They're not going to do it. They're going to have to up the dosage because $85 billion worth of money printing isn't enough. That's how addicted we are to this cheap money. Interest rates are rising despite this, and the dollar is tanking. I mean, if it wasn't for the Japanese yen, if they weren't trying to act even more recklessly, imagine how low the dollar would be. But I think it's going to break down a lot. That's going to send oil prices. Look at oil prices knocking on the door of $100 a barrel. As oil prices rise, the dollar sinks. More people are going to realize that this economy is in a lot worse shape than they thought.
Why isn't oil high? Because the economy is in better shape. Why aren't yields going up? Because the economy is in better shape. And it must be all those
yields are going up. I mean, yields are going up.
That's
Look at the yield on the 10-year today.
Why are they going up? Why are people selling Treasury bonds? If they're worried about the economy, they're not. They're feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. It's why that they would sell bonds and buy stocks.
No, I think they are worried. Look, the European situation is now diffusing. A lot of money was fleeing the euro. Now it's going back to the eurozone. And so people are buying euros, they're selling dollars. And I think more people are starting to recognize that the dollar is going to lose value. So why would you want to own treasuries if the dollar is going down? Meanwhile, a lot of foreign markets are doing much better than the U.S. Look at some of the emerging markets. Look at Southeast Asia. I don't necessarily think people need to be in U.S. stocks. I think there are a lot better opportunities abroad.
One last thing, though, if you look at, you were talking about the Federal Reserve, Peter, do you worry about the Federal Reserve? Suddenly we got a decision this afternoon, suddenly pulling the plug on this stimulus. If the Fed starts to get worried about the dollar's depreciation, if the Fed starts to worry about inflation.
Well, they're not going to do that. They should do that. They should pull the plug on the stimulus. We need higher interest rates. We need to have a real restructuring. We need a real recession so we can have a real recovery. Unfortunately, the Fed's not going to stop printing until they turn the country into Greece. Until we have an all-out dollar crisis, until we have a sovereign debt crisis, they're going to keep the presses rolling. They want to keep the economy high as a kite. They don't want people sobering up to the reality that the problems are now worse than they were in 2008, that everything the Fed has done has helped make the problem worse. It's prevented the economy from restructuring along the lines that we can actually have a legitimate recovery. Instead, we have the illusion of a recovery, but that illusion is fading.
I like illusions. You know, tell me I look good any day of the week. Peter, thank you. Peter Schiff, be well. We'll speak to you soon.
That wouldn't be an illusion.
Well, thank you for the compliment, which I was hunting for, by the way. You're welcome back tomorrow.